Well, hey, research department intact. Hi, Kim.
Hello
I
there.
just looked. I'm looking at your side there. That intro, that big intro from Mocking, that's got me going now. Like, look
It's
out, people.
amazing.
Yeah,
It's
I needed
amazing.
that. This trial is not exactly thrilling. Well, I don't know if
No.
thrilling is a good word. Let's just talk about, like,
Painful?
if you're feeling a little down, you got some stuff on your mind, don't watch this. Don't. If you don't have libation in a lot of time and headache medicine and like you're just not bored don't watch this. Like,
No.
I'm telling you. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. And here I am. I'm actually we're going to be talking about it. And we're telling them not to watch it, but still, it's just.
Right?
And I'm not laughing because of the subject. I'm laughing
No.
at
Never.
the audacity, the ridiculousness, some of the like wildness that is already going on. That well, I guess we should just get into it, huh, Ken?
I think
For anyone
so.
for anyone not familiar with the subject, we're going to be talking about Letecia Stauch's trial today. And we did cover the opening statements. I did that on Monday, I believe, right, Kim? We did it. I also did a little bit of
Correct.
Lori Vallow, but the majority of it was Letecia Stauch and what the opening statements were about for both the prosecution and the defense. And as promised, I did cut that up and took it out of the long day that they had and just made separate little video for you each to hear those statements so you know where both sides are coming from. So you know what the arguments are going to be like for the prosecution, what evidence they believe that they have, and also for the defense, what the defense is. And the defense is no defense. Like,
No defense.
am I wrong, Kim? The defense said
You
she
are
did it.
not wrong.
The defense just came up there and went, I shouldn't even be in here. And he did this
I
big
shouldn't
dramatic
buy.
thing about like leaving the room and he's
Yeah.
going to go and he shouldn't even bother to do this. It was very dramatic. I give the young guy, Will Cook, a little bit of maybe a C plus or C double plus for that one. It was very theatrical.
It was over the top.
It was way over the top. You know, he wasn't leaving the room. He's getting paid well to sit there and entertain Letecia while this is going on.
Right.
But basically, like Kim we were talking about in the back before we came up. The defense is going to say she's not guilty by reason of insanity. That she was so out of her mind from her twisted childhood that and everything that's ever happened in her life that in that moment, and oh, by the way, only in that moment, this is the big point that I have. Only in that moment did she react to all of the trauma that she had for her whole life and took it out on Gannon. Nobody else
Correct.
hasn't done anything else like that. Yeah, they've got a big hill to climb with that one. What do you think, Kim?
They really do. And, as of right now, the defense only has one witness on their list, I believe.
Oh, and who would that be?
I believe it may be one of the doctors.
It is actually okay. From what I saw, and by the way, Colorado, because it is now a high profile case, has made all the documents available. We have them all now. The only
Okay.
witness on the defense's team right now is going to be the last one that consulted on Letecia. Not anybody she's seen her whole life, not therapists she talked to for all this trauma she supposedly had, not any of her friends, not any of her family, not anybody to contest anything that was going on, except the paid expert witness for the last competency that they asked for, which is after she changed her plea. The defense themselves petitioned the court to allow another competency hearing of their choice, somebody to look at her of their choice that they would pay for them themselves. And that is
Right.
your witness. That's your witness.
That's her or
That's her.
him.
Yeah, I
I
forget the
was
whole
thinking it was
name.
a female.
Yeah. I will add it to the description. It is a female. I believe her first name is Barbara. I digress. There was a lot of names to remember in the last couple of days.
Cool.
And I will tell you some of these names, right, Kim, are like, whoop,
Um,
like, whoop.
well, and some of them don't even introduce, like, we've got
Yes,
attorneys that
we
aren't.
we,
Producing themselves.
but I love the judge Warner. First of all,
I
if you
do
watch it
too.
for if you watch it for anything, just watch it for Judge Warner's voice. It will save you. It will save you from the rest of
Oh,
what is
he's got
going
such
on.
a calming voice.
Yeah, he got it. Like
He does.
of all the things that I talk to everybody about the legal case back and forth, back all my friends that I usually like check in with about this stuff, what was the first thing every single one of them said? Thank goodness for Gregory Warner's voice. I was like, okay,
Right.
I hear you. I hear you. It's rough. This is hard stuff to hear. It really is. Um
It is.
yeah, just
Well,
listening
and
that they're
then
not even gonna defend her, like she did it.
I know.
That's
Well,
I'm
and
glad that
you
she
know,
admits that. Go
yeah,
on.
and Judge Warner also was very respectful. He
Mhm.
made the decision to have the camera on the witness stand turned off while Al Stauch was on the stand.
He was quite emotional. They were showing pictures of his son. It
Hmm.
was he had to listen to a very horrible time in his life because all of day 2 and part of day 3 is all Al Stauch's testimony. Most of it from prosecution, right? Because the defense really didn't have much for him, did they? Where they going to go? We
Right.
could talk about that, but if we're going to get right into the testimony, then definitely let me bring up. I do have some things that I can actually show you guys. First of all, the reason we're not streaming this trial every day, number one, is the topic. I can't be unbiased about this particular case because of the amount of evidence on Letecia Stauch, the way that she acted, what she did. I never once thought she was innocent. So how can we possibly stream and listen to all of this and try to talk to everybody every day about how you should listen to all the evidence? And
You can't.
I let's just say Bear is human. Bear has a heart, and her heart was not in it for this being an unbiased trial. Okay. I couldn't. I love the law. I have too much respect for it to make it into a slam job, which I probably would have ended up doing, trying to think of everything I could say against the defense and against everybody that had anything kind to say about Letecia. And I don't want to be that person. So I'm off. I'm off of it. Okay. There are plenty of people putting out a really good feed. And I would say one of the best is Recovery Addict. Kim gave me that
Yes.
link a couple of days ago, and I'm glad he's actually trying to
Oh,
do it right. The only annoying thing is he pulls up messages in the middle of the
he
testimony, which is
does.
really he does. And he may be doing that to protect his feed, and I don't blame him because then people can't really take his feed, can they?
Right.
Because he's doing a better job. This actual picture here is him pulling in. He's trying to pull in from another device. He enhances the video to try to show Letecia during the trial. He does not show the jury. He does exactly what the judge wants. He's trying to be very respectful and not talk. There is a little bit of talking in between testimony if there's this, and because I know how hard that is, there's a
Right.
gap to fill because they're being quiet. Like they go push that button that they want to talk to the lawyers, and you're trying to fill the silence, and then they undo it and start talking, and you miss witness names, you miss,
Hmm.
I have found that in both the live trials that I did. I've only done 2, but it's very difficult, but I give him a lot of credit.
It is hard.
It's one of the better ones out there. Law and Crime has also got a good feed, just like you guys always said before. They got multiple cameras. They don't. They're just using the same feed and moving it around, just like
Right.
Recovery Addict is. There's only one feed and one audio for this, and it is what it is. It's what's coming out with no expertise from the courtroom, period. That's all you get.
Except for
And they're
Jack Rule. He
right.
is the camera guy
Yeah, and he's
in the
trying. They're doing
courtroom.
right. They're doing their best, but they're messing up a couple of times too, and they better stop. A couple of
Right.
times, people were flashing on that jury, and if they keep that up, the judge is going to pull the plug on these. Like
The
that's it.
judge actually did it one time himself.
Yeah, and
He
that's why he
jumped
got
on
rid
the
of the other
controls.
camera. Yeah, that's why he got rid of the other.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so basically it's a typical average courtroom scenario in there. You would not know how big this case is by the setup, right? I mean, you see in the opening
Right.
statements in the videos that you can hardly hear them talking. They never look at the camera. They're not here for us. They're just doing their job. They are talking to the
They
jury,
are.
period. They're just doing their job. And I kind of appreciate that. Um you,
Well, and even Judge Werner has said it's not a TV show. It's not a docudrama. It is real life. It's not entertainment.
It's not. This is real life. This is somebody's life. This is actually served. They absolutely want justice for Gannon, and just like all of us. Okay. Janae says she may have a little crush on the judge. You know what? You're not alone, Janae.
Not alone, Janae.
You're not alone. Every single person I talked to said they had a little crush on the judge. I will say, I like the judge's voice, but I don't have a little crush on the judge. My crush of judges is still in South Carolina. Sorry. Newman's
I
got me.
know.
But not as a crush. He's an older, respectable man. Let's just say there's nobody's
Bring
going to
the
replace
jury.
him. He going to be like, my fave judge for a while.
Right.
I just absolutely adored him. And we did get to see him in the bond renegotiation deal for Eddie Smith. That's
Yes.
Cousin Eddie, to all of you who may not be
Cousin
familiar
Eddie.
with Murdoch, Cousin Eddie. And I'm going to put a little video out about that over the weekend. I've been remiss.
Good.
I took a few days off. I've been a little remiss. Everything's a couple days behind, but it's still all coming. But as far as crushes, like my crush box is filled, but that's a secret. Like I got a bad crush going on, but I ain't, that's the thing about crushes.
Oh,
You don't have to say who they're on, right?
no, you don't.
No, you don't. But
Mm-mm.
no. But anyway, besides that, back to the trial, which is not fun. Okay, and there's a lot that went on, and we want to try to give you. I gotta say, although there was so much going on, it was pretty reasonable, and in the way that everybody's laying it out, I have to say the prosecution is doing a pretty good job of starting from the beginning, starting from with the testimony of Al Stauch came out all of how he became suspicious of Letecia, which was very early on. When during the testimony, they're talking about, and this is all also in the indictment papers I gave you and the proof of the indictment, what they call the statements of facts, which
Right.
are also linked below. I had given that to you earlier. It shows some of the evidence that they were going to be showing, and it says what they felt happened, and all of it's there. And here is the testimony from Al Stauch to confirm it and put it into evidence that when she lied to him about where her car was, she said it was still at work, and that the reason she picked him up in a rental vehicle, which she did, from the airport, because he was coming in from his assignment, and he's in the reserves or the Coast Guard, right? And he was
Yes,
coming in from
National
his
Guard.
assignment, National Guard, and they want to Janae, yes, I can. I'm not saying. I know I'm amongst friends, but my crush is so adorable that as soon as I say who it is, everybody's going to be crushing on them and everything. And I'm going to be a selfish bee for a while and keep it to myself. And maybe later I'll
I
share
don't
it with
blame
y'all.
you.
I don't,
I don't
it's kind
blame
of fun.
you.
Yeah,
If
I'm
I had
keeping it.
one, I would keep it a secret too.
Yeah, I do like old men in black robes, especially ones that are so nice and do all that legal stuff, Ox. Yeah, I have to admit it. It's a thing.
Oh, if
But
they talk
yeah.
legal or medical,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I swoon.
Well, besides that, poor Al Stauch, who was in love with his wife. Let's be honest. Like he met her.
He was.
He was giving her good graces. He trusted his children with her. They had a home. Okay, he went off to his National Guard job. She was going to pick him up. She had been complaining about not getting enough attention, right? We saw that in the indictment. We've seen article after article over the last 3 years in regards to that. In part of the indictment paperwork, you'll find the Google searches. If you want to actually see where her head was at, go look at those Google searches. they're pretty telling about where her head was at, regardless of her wanting to say that she was out of her mind. She might have been with jealousy, pettiness, and ridiculousness, but not insanity. Okay. She may have been a petty woman. She may have been a selfish woman. She may have been a little narcissistic, and she may have been way over the top with the manipulation. But as far as insanity, none of those Google searches had anything to do with insanity. And neither
No.
did the rest of everything else that Al Stauch is saying happened. Now, she picked him up in a rental car. That was weird right there. Her reason. What'd you think of her reason, Kim? Do you remember the
Oh my!
reason she said on the call?
It made no sense. Her reason was she didn't want to put mileage on her leased vehicle.
Ah, she didn't want to put mileage. She thought the extra mileage was going to affect it. And he said for emergencies and things like that, like, we don't worry about that. Why would you worry about that? That was
It was like
his
17 miles.
answer to her. This man is so easygoing and so like he just seemed mhm. He just seemed so affable, didn't he? Like just so genuine, I would say.
He
Wouldn't
did.
you? Hmm.
Yes.
I'm hoping that yeah, if there's yeah, in the chat mods, if there's anything going on with the feed or the audio, just give me a heads up because my bars are going like left and right and all over the place right now. I don't want to make sure it's okay. Hey, sorry, crazy cat. I never said any names, Mrs. Cassandra. I never said any names as much as y'all want to speculate out there. Go ahead, but if you want to think I'm talking about you, you can think I'm talking about you. That's okay. I hope it makes you feel really good for the day. But I'm not saying. There. Anyway, they all trying to out me, Kim. What's that?
I know. It's so wrong.
Oh, quit. There it is. There he is. There's my bro. Say my name. Hi. Hi, hi. Hi, hi. Listen, baby boy. It can't be you. It could have been you, maybe, if life was different, like way different, like
Right?
otherworldly different, like upside down life different. But it ain't you, boo. Sorry. Yes, Jin, my bars are all over the place. They're going like yellow and green and then yellow and green. Well, thank you, Mrs. Cassandra. I'm glad because Kim and I are working on a little bit of a delay here. That's why we sound a little disjointed, but we're trying to handle it the best we
Yeah.
can. Back to Mr. Stauch, who my heart goes out to him. A day and a half on that witness stand, listening to the calls that he had with Letecia after she said to him, oh, well, the mileage on the renter car, I don't want to. That's why I'm using this vehicle. It says that her vehicle is over at the school where she worked, right, Kim? She says, oh, I left it there.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And he then goes, because Gannon's missing. She tells him Gannon's missing and everything. And what does he do? Good father that he is. He's in his vehicle. He's driving all over the place looking for his son. He's going every place he can think of to try to find something. He's out of his mind. Okay. And he goes by the school. Lo and behold, like Leticia's vehicle's not there.
Drove past it 3 times. Like drove around the entire school 3 times. No vehicle.
Mm-hmm. And this is on top of the information where he finds out his other child, Lena, the younger daughter, okay, wasn't allowed in the house the day Gannon went missing. The whole thing,
Right.
Gannon's missing and everything, and Letecia isn't even letting the girl in the house after school. Okay. Everything was wrong. Bells are going off in his head. Nobody's allowed in. She's sending the other one to the store for stuff. She called in the missing persons, okay, and the detective showed up and everything, but everything she was telling him one-on-one, some of it wasn't adding up, and even from the very start she started hedging and not telling the whole truth, or at that point he doesn't know it's not the truth. He just knows something sounds off about it because she keeps twisting it in stuff, and even just automatically trying to get him to believe that mm, that she couldn't possibly have anything to do with it.
Correct.
Right. And so once he went around that building, you said 3 times, right? And then what,
Correct.
do you want to tell him what he did after that? Because like this is a man of great courage. Actually, I give him great courage.
I'm
I would
trying to
never want to
remember. I'm
trade
going through
places.
my notes.
Well, okay, I can do this part because this
Yeah,
is
go
what
ahead with
made
it.
me think how strong he is. He knows something's not right. He just caught her in a straight out lie. He loves his son. You know what he
Right.
does? He goes right to the El Paso County Sheriff's Department.
That's
He
right.
walks right in there and he said, she just lied to me about where her car was. Something's wrong. And that started the major investigation with him supporting them into what was she doing, what was going on, why is she telling 2 different stories? She's telling him one thing, she's telling the detective something else. She's all over the place. They started to record their phone conversations, and the rest of the day are, I think it was 4 in total, right? 4 different days of calls from after she moves out. Like, she didn't even stay at the house
No, she didn't.
with him. Okay. She just got so upset about him going, what? Why is your car not where you said it was? As soon as he questioned her, she booked. She went to a
Yeah.
hotel with her older daughter, right? And she's not worried about Lena. She's not worried about, like, she's not worried about anybody but her. She books, and left him to deal with it with the police and everything. But this is after they were already in the house and everything. But it was very odd behavior. They became separated at that point, and I could say based on the phone calls, there was no chance like they were going to get back together. Although she was very, you should be supporting me, you should be with your wife and your children, and he's like, there's this thing between us. Like, I need to know where my son is, and you're not telling me the truth. Once I have all the truth, once I know what happened, once your stories stop changing, like, then maybe, you know, he never was rude to her. He never, he said on Valentine's Day, it's Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's, I still love you, but where's Gannon? Tell me exactly what happened. What you're telling me isn't making sense. I need to know the truth, whatever the truth is. He never accused her till that last phone call where he actually came right out and asked her if she killed
Right.
him, and she denied
Yeah.
it, and then blamed him for even saying that she would. Okay. And I can't even imagine what it would be like for you to think that someone that you love killed someone you love, of any,
Yeah.
like, wife, a
I
child, a relative.
yeah.
Mm.
I honestly don't know how he got through those phone calls.
Hmm. But the calls were rough. It's a lot of what you do here is, for me, it was very reminiscent of Amber Heard calls where you get the extra histrionics in.
Yes.
Mm. There was a lot of convincing and manipulating, and when he asked her about certain things, "Just straighten this out for me. Why'd you say this and then this?" And then she would just tell a whole different story. Because here it is. She was either raped, attacked, or kidnapped by Eduardo, Uncle Matt, or Quincy Jones. Like, we don't know who yet because she keeps changing her story. And then
Yes.
Quincy Jones may or may not be the guy who took her bike. And then Uncle Matt may or may not be the one who's attacking Gannon. And then she tells her husband, Gannon's father, that while she was tied up in another room, for hours she heard Gannon screaming. Why would you tell him that?
Exactly.
She's hurting him. Like, I
She
was
is. And
so upset when I was
I feel
hearing how
like
she,
it's intentional.
yeah, because he doesn't believe her, because he won't just come home or go to wherever she was. First of all, she won't tell him where she is. The whole time she was somewhere else, she wouldn't tell him she would not tell Al Stauch where she was actually staying.
Right.
But he was supporting her with money. She was taking money out of the account. We found that out. And he was like, I didn't say anything. You need money to support yourself. But I'm not going to come and live with you and everybody until we know the truth. Like, we need it. And then she starts screaming about immunity. I need immunity, screaming at him over
That
and
blew
crying for,
my
oh,
mind.
right? And he's like, Tisha. And he calls her so sweet. He calls her Tisha. He tries to calm her down. But at the same time, I know he wants information. He's so calm. Remember, he's trained. He's definitely, and I don't even think it's the training that did it. I think it's a father wanting to know what happened to the kid he loves so much.
Yeah,
And he knows someone's not telling him the truth. He was cautious. He was careful. He just kept prodding, but never too far. He wanted the truth. That's all he kept begging her for.
that was
Whatever
all he
happened,
wanted.
whatever happened, did you freak out? Did something bad happen? I can help. I can't help if you don't tell me what happened.
Yeah,
I
he kept
can't
saying,
talk
"We
to
can work
anyone.
through this.
Hmm.
We can do this. We can work through this. We can help with this."
Exactly. In and I, you know what? I don't judge anyone who cannot be objective in this case. We could be objective about how well a job they do presenting the evidence, what evidence that they put forward, but I don't think objective about what we want to happen is possible in this case. I
No,
really don't. I mean, I know some can do it, but for me, especially after listening to the father's
yeah,
testimony,
I can't.
I can't. What he tried, he kept trying, and she's pleading, and he's even saying, Tisha, Tisha, you're acting like I'm in control of this case. Like, I can't give you immunity. I can't even talk to them for you because you're not giving us anything to go by. You keep changing your story. I can't go and help with anything until you come and tell us exactly what happened. And she's like, I'm not helping. I'm not doing anything until I have immunity. She said, you're trying to bury me. You're trying to bury me. You're not trying to help me. You're trying to bury me. If you wanted to help me, you'd be with me. If you wanted to help me, you know, I'd have immunity, whatever. She said everybody was out to get her. He tried talking to her about being paranoid, whatever. It wasn't. And here's the thing. When asked afterwards, this is the part with the prosecution that I was like, yes, that is such good lawyering. Because after all of these phone calls are done, okay, at the very end, he goes, I want you now to talk to me about Leticia's state of mind. Did at any time you actually think she was crazy or a danger or to anyone or anybody herself? Did she do anything? And they talked about her using her middle name and why she called herself Taylor because she's trying to tell the defense that she had an altered personality, whatever. And
Right,
he
that
was
she had
saying that,
PID.
yeah, that was how she met him. She had her name as Tisha Taylor. Okay, instead of Tisha, Letecia Lynn is her name. But she put Tisha Taylor because she said she always liked the name Taylor instead of the name Lynn. She didn't really like the name Lynn. So he'd known that for years about her. That's nothing new. That's not something that just happened and just taking a little credibility away from her statements there on that. That's nothing like that. He also said, I love my children. I am responsible. We've had a decent life. Why would I leave her with my children if I had any doubt about her sanity?
Yeah,
Why would she have my children in her home? Like, why? It wouldn't be. I left on a trip. If I had any doubt in my mind that she was going through anything, I mean, yes, was she depressed about certain things? She has told me about her childhood. She said she needed to talk to a therapist. At one time, we went to a mental health place once, but I didn't go into the room with her and she talked to somebody, but that was the end of that. Okay. So, like, she did talk to him about it. Everybody talks about, things that are bad in their life or whatever, but he never got the idea that she wasn't dealing with it. He said the opposite. She's always been pretty much in control and gotten whatever
right.
she wanted. Um, she was very good about these kind of things. She could take care of everything. She was good. And that kind of like really made me take pause because, for him to have to think, wow, I left my children with her. Like,
Yeah.
did I make a mistake? Did I like what? Those phone calls tore him up.
Oh,
Um, a little caveat that came out, and I did some research. He filed for divorce in March of that year.
Correct.
They're no longer together. He's never went back to her. She's
No.
never told this truth to him. She's never come forward. And now he had to hear through the court system that she's pleading guilty for insanity reasons.
Yeah.
That had to break his heart. And he had to sit there on that defense stand and look at her. And that's why I have this picture up here. She's just cold as ice. She put her head down a few times, but she was pretty cold,
Oh, yeah.
to tell you the truth. And
Yeah.
just so you know who we're talking about, this is Al Stauch from another interview. I'm not sneaking pictures of him. This is an interview that he put out, that he released this picture quite a while ago. And this is a picture from when they were looking for Gannon, I believe. And that's the hair there may be Gannon's mother.
I
And
believe
do you
that's
know
Landon, Gannon's
that's
mom.
Landon? And what's her last name? I forgot her last name, but her first name is Landon. And I
Oh, I've got it in
um
the other room. Sorry.
and that's Gannon's mom, who was friendly with Letecia somewhat. They
They
shared things
were.
back and forth. Okay, they had kids that they shuffled back and forth together. They had a decent relationship that way. But this was, I really feel for him. I can't imagine having to relive all these years later. But I know he wants justice. But my heart does break for him. It really
Yeah,
does.
exactly.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to bring forward from the phone calls, Kim? Like,
I'm kind of looking here really quickly. Don't.
I think it was
Yeah,
Hyatt.
I
Just
think
Rhonda said, was it Hyatt? I've seen it listed as Landon Hyatt a lot, but I'm not sure,
right.
like, if that, like, the progression of the name, if that's like a new married name. I know that Al Stosh got married again, didn't he? I mean,
Yes, he
he's
did.
he's remarried.
Yes.
But I'm not sure of Landon's official, if Hyatt is a new married name or was her maiden name. I'm not sure. I have to do some more research on that.
Right. Um, I know that um, he had said he would not have ever gone away if he had ever had concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
he said that at first he thought that she was just a person of interest. And then later he felt like she was involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I do
Yep.
remember him saying something about
It was when
living with her
yeah.
was like a roller coaster.
Right. She was moody. Like, she was needy, but he was also a man who liked to take care of things. So, he liked to be needed. So, and he admitted that. She was, you could tell she was needy. Like, and you could tell by the Google searches. I'm telling you, people, go look at those. There you go, Janae. Thank you. Landon Boyard Hyatt. Thank you. Thank
Hyatt.
you.
Yes, thank
Yep.
you.
Yes. Thank you so much. I
I was
appreciate
trying to
that.
look it up really quickly.
You just saved me a bunch of Googling. I appreciate it. I've seen
I
the name
know.
Landon Hyatt so much, but I wasn't sure of her full name. I try to keep it all straight because for through all of testimony for day 2 and part of day 3, it was actually District Attorney Michael Allen who did the questioning of um of Mr. Storch through the whole thing. He was very considerate, and at the end, they did address the insanity, and they did, like Kim said. He said, he didn't really think he wouldn't leave his kids. They addressed the issue of the middle name thing. He also asked her, could she make eggs? Could she could she make a Denver omelet? Could she cook? Was she able to clean and take care of the house and
That
take care
was
of everybody?
so.
Were there any like incidences where she wasn't taking care of everything? And he said no. So, like, you would think, and people are thinking, well, what does that have to do with anything? That has a lot to do with it. If you're insane, these are not your concerns. Feeding the children and, taking a shower every day and, taking care of business as it goes. Like, everything seemed to be okay.
And
Um,
those are questions that in the medical field We ask family
Mm-hmm.
members.
Oriented to place, time, an
Yes.
event. Yes.
And
Okay.
simple task.
And simple tasks. Okay, those are the four that indicate a crisis or something going on. Now nobody's going to say that something didn't happen like in that way. Something did flip her out, obviously. Oh, when you hear about what happened to Gannon, you can't help but understand that it was traumatic. It was over. It was extremely violent, extremely brutal. It was a small child. It was too much. What happened to him was too much considering anything that could have happened to trip her up. Oh, but it was obvious that there was some terrible aggression thing going there that she was doing. But does that mean she was actually insane? Well, the rest of the testimonies, if you don't have anything else on Stauch, Kim, I don't want to move you too fast.
No, we're good.
Okay, so if you guys don't have any other questions, I would recommend like that you read those. I'm not sure if I'm gonna put all the phone calls together or not. I'm gonna see how if it works out. If it comes out that it can be done, that it actually makes sense. Each phone call, I'll try to do it. Because I think it is important. You do get to hear her voice. It is strong evidence for the prosecution.
It is.
Well, the
I know
the only yeah,
the first
go
call
ahead.
was around 2 hours.
Hmm. The defense when they came up, and I believe it was Tolini, wasn't it? Because it was, yeah, I believe it was Tolini because wasn't he like very red faced from his vacation?
Yes.
So that was
Yeah.
Joshua Tolini, who is the lead defense attorney. When he was talking to Stauch, it was more about like, well, didn't she ever feel emotional? Did you ever feel she couldn't do this? And yeah, he held his ground, like he really did. And again,
Oh, yeah.
reiterated that he never would have left her with anyone. Yeah,
Yeah. He
go on.
even pushed back a few times and
Yeah,
corrected
because
him.
he was right, because he was offended at some of it. Like, why would you think that she couldn't take care of that? Obviously, she did. She did it every day. Like,
Right.
there was a lot of pushback there because the defense was trying to insinuate that he had left the children with someone who couldn't handle anything and that he should have saw these signs, or whatever. Well, there were no signs. Like, there wasn't anything to see, except
There
for
weren't.
she was like some women that wanted all the attention on her. Now, that doesn't mean you're crazy. Narcissistic, maybe, needy, selfish, but not necessarily crazy. Okay.
Right.
Mm, okay. Um, Not enough to get away with what she did. I mean, I think she should get the full penalty for what she did. I don't think
Oh,
she
I
should
think
get
so.
the kid gloves here for this at all. But let's go on to some more of the witnesses so that we actually get to all. There were four
Yes.
more witnesses in just a half a day because all we have is like the rest of day 3. They spent most of the morning with Mr. Stauch in the last phone call and then the thing. But the one thing I wanted to remind everybody is that the jury does get to ask questions of every witness. Okay.
Yes. And
And
that is a
be-
standard in Colorado.
in Colorado, they get to do it. So after the prosecution, the defense, and then rebuttal or whatever order it is, okay. After that, the judge will always ask jury, do you have any questions for this witness? After every witness. And they're allowed to present something. And then based on law, matters of law, the judge is going to look at it and make sure it's a matter of law that they actually can ask this question. It doesn't violate any evidence rule, any motion that you've already had to keep something confidential or anything like that. It's not hearsay. It's not, you know what I mean? Like it's within the scope of what they're doing. So they do
Correct.
check it for matters of law, and then they ask the witness, and they're allowed to answer. Prior to Al Stauch's first testimony, before they even called a witness, the jury had a question. And that question was to the judge. The defendant, we have noticed, making hand signals and mouthing words at us during the opening remarks. How much weight or should we be paying attention to this kind of stuff? They were asking right away because it's an
Yeah.
insanity case. If they're supposed to be looking at her and paying attention to her and putting any weight on it, is that evidence? She's over there in the corner acting like a nut job. Do we need to pay attention to it? That's just the Bears translation of that. That's not what they said. And the judge really couldn't answer the jury yet. He said out loud to the attorneys, "Listen, I've had this question before, and I always tell them, just look at the evidence. Ignore them. You ignore whatever they're doing whatever they're acting like in the courtroom is not evidence of the case that we're presenting." And he then left it to the lawyers to come up with case law. They came back later. He gave them some case law later. I never heard the final on it, so I don't know what he answered the
I
jury.
have not heard anything.
I'm Googling. I'm thinking tomorrow we'll hear first thing in the morning. Either that or I've got an email out to the Colorado, the 4th district. I put a question in for there. And
Oh, good.
there's a way to put a question through the website for
Right.
the judicials. And I also the reporter for Fox 5 over there, Nicole Fierro. Like
Yes.
I hit up there too to just see if they had heard it. Because I've been listening like to it, but I have to admit it's a lot. And you ever know when you're listening to something for 5 hours, you kind of tune out a little bit here and there.
You do.
And
And
then you can
you
and
know
I
me, I've got
apologize.
work.
I can only be so sharp. You know what I mean? Like there's no
Yeah.
way. But I did go back. I couldn't find it. So I don't know.
And I get interrupted by people wanting to find out why they've got a bill and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
annoying
But
things like
yeah.
that.
But we'll find out. Like they'll be told whether to pay attention. Right now they're looking at her like, "Huh?" But they'll be told eventually or have been told whether or not to actually add that into how they weigh the evidence on whether she's crazy or not. If they're told to ignore it, that's big for the prosecution because she's
Oh
playing it
yeah.
up. She's playing it up, right, Kim? She is playing it up
Cool.
in that oh my gosh, she wants
Pulling her
them to
hair
think
over her
that she's
face,
crazy. Mhm, mhm. She's
plugging
hiding
up her
behind a
ears.
monitor most of the time so that right, so that you can't see her. Yep, plugging her ears at certain points. Although they did show pictures when you know what? They showed after the opening statements. If you go to the opening statements, whatever witness pictures, whatever evidence pictures rather they had for the opening statements, I put them in the opening statements. There's Gannon with the blankets, there's the wax,
Uh-huh.
there's the black and white photo there of all of the spots of blood and holes, like the mess. Okay.
Right.
And then the defense had a picture. The defense had a picture that she took the day before. Now, if she was crazy, right? If she was crazy, she took the happy picture of her
Yeah.
and Gannon and Lana the day before, and
I
it
know.
family looked like everything was normal. So
Yeah.
that kind of, I don't understand why the defense, like when they put it up, this is how they put it up. They said, "Here, look at how she was just fine. But then this happened. She's saying she's guilty of all this. He was stabbed 18 times. She shot a gun at him 3 times. 2 of them went into the pillow. 1 of them went through his head. Okay.
Yes.
And then blunt head trauma. Like then she hit him with a blunt device. Okay. Put him in a suitcase and disposed of his body. If you could do that after a picture like that, that's their evidence that she's crazy.
Right.
Okay. But I don't know. Am I jaded, Kim? Is that not also evidence that she is just psychotic killer?
Exactly.
Little narcissistic, willing to
Yes.
do anything to get her way, tired of dealing with stuff, husband not paying attention to me, pays too much
Hmm.
attention. It's Gannon, Gannon, Gannon. It's all the kids. Get rid of the kids. We hear about it all the time. It doesn't
Oh
mean they're
yeah.
crazy. It means they are murderers,
Right.
selfish. Like, I do think there's something wrong with somebody that can do that, but whether it's insane or not, and they should get away with it as, I don't
No.
think so. I
And
mean, mm,
just to kind of maybe clear up one thing for some people, I have learned, I know a lot of the different channels have been talking about the fact that she's allowed to sit so far away from the attorneys and right up next to the wall. We've got to remember this is a woman that has
mm-hmm.
had an escape attempt, planned another one, was in a transport vehicle got out of her handcuffs, attacked one of the officers. They have her shackled to the floor. And that may be the only place where they can actually shackle her ankles to the floor.
Well, that also keeps her away from anybody else so that she cannot take their pen, use their
Correct.
glasses against them, attack them in any way for her own benefit. It's,
Right.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even her attorneys, when they're speaking with her on breaks, are
They
not
do stand
getting that
away.
close to her.
No, I
And we
think that's
see
a
her
good reason.
laughing during those times.
We're going to show a picture of that. I have a picture of her standing up,
Oh,
unshackled,
good.
before they shackled her back. But anyway, here's a picture of Gannon, one of the more recent ones before, and a picture that his father had put out of him, and which is like, I just wanted to show that a happier time for Al Stauch, before we move on to the next witness, which was this gentleman is Macon Pounder. He is the bridge inspector who's working
Yes.
with his fellow bridge inspector, Matt Goins, okay, who also worked for EMS, who this man, Macon Pounder, said, I am so grateful my partner was with me because he had experience with this because I lost it. That's what he said on the stand. He said,
I
you
felt bad for
have
him.
no idea what seeing something like that was like. And my heart broke for him too. I mean, I'm telling you, this is a
Yeah.
rough trial. Like these are grown men who like go through stuff and they're like, you have not seen it, you have seen nothing like it when you see what was done to a child like that was awful. Okay, but this is Macon Pounder, who he was the second witness. It was not DA Michael Allen who did the questioning with him. It was actually a younger district attorney, an assistant district attorney by the name of Dave Young, who did a pretty good job, right, Kim? I mean, I
He
think he was
did.
very well spoken. He did a great job. They went through how, the why, the scenery, like everything about the bridge, the location, everything to do with it. He was, you know, um, easily, if you asked him a question, he could easily give you the answer, but he wasn't really like coming out with like dramatic
No.
dramatic statements about anything. He wasn't being very florally with his language. He wasn't painting any kind of a picture. He's pretty much very much direct. This is a picture of the area, the bridge that they're talking about. Okay. And the reason I bring this up is because two things came up. There is discrepancy in the statements about the bridge being lighted, but it's not enough to take away the fact that Gannon was found in a suitcase that belonged to that house, that came from that storage unit, okay, and was dropped under that bridge, and that Gannon was in that suitcase with two blankets from his bed in his pillow, and that when they found him, he was demised in the condition of his body. None of that takes it away. But
Right.
already there's all this, oh, wow, he misspoke about the lights. There's no lights on the ramp of that bridge. There's no lights on, like, whatever. It doesn't matter whether it was lighted or not. It was 4 a.m. in the morning when they believe it was dumped.
Right.
Okay. Based
And
on, and that's based on what? What what kind of evidence do we have for that? Okay.
Claire, and I went back and listened, and both he and the next witness both said there were not lights on the bridge, there were
Mhm.
lights in the marina.
In the marina, right? But they're making
Mhm.
a big deal, right? And several people
Yes.
have said, don't even pay attention to it. And other people are like, oh my God. And I'm like, it don't matter. It doesn't matter whether there were or there
No.
weren't. It does not matter. They're not going to be able to impeach the witness on that. Mm-mm. It's not
No.
going to happen, not based on the rest of the testimony. Because, they went into great detail about everything they saw, and it was graphic, and I'm not going to redo it. Okay, I'm not. I'm going to just tell you that this man has been marked for life, he and his partner, about what they saw. They did the right thing. They called in investigators. They did everything that they could. Okay. They did
Yes.
everything the right. They preserved the evidence. They did the right thing. Period. They're not going to be able to do anything about that. Get that
No.
removed. They tried. They can't get anything removed. These people are here. They tried not to get them to testify. It doesn't matter. They're here. All
They
right.
even
So
willingly gave up their DNA.
they both, well, of course, because, and then that I have a question, Kim, and chat,
Okay.
please help me with this. Now, the prosecution would normally say, so then, when the investigators are talking about that, and maybe I should wait until we get to the next guy. But yes, Kim just brought it up. So yes,
Sorry.
both Macon Pounder and Matt Goins willingly just like, hey, take my fingerprints, take my DNA, take anything you want. We didn't put that kid in there. Like, we didn't do it. Like, no way. Obviously, they were like, we just found him. We're bridge workers. And it was a routine bridge inspection. They were there.
Yes.
They were supposed to be there. And that's what they found. Okay. It was scheduled for them to be there. It wasn't anything nefarious. Like that's just what they found when
No,
they
they
got
do
there.
them every 2 years.
Mm-hmm. They took. But it wasn't the prosecution that brought all that up. It
No.
was the defense
Yes.
that said to the other detective, actually to the fourth guy, wasn't it? Like, wait, was it? No, it was the second one.
It was
It was
Jason Yoder.
It was Jason Yoder, who is a criminal investigator for Escambia County, because remember, this is in Florida. All
Right.
right. On a border. Okay. Not anywhere near her home. They're
No.
accusing that she not only moved the body into her car, which was why she didn't pick up her husband with her car, but then she went on a trip. She moved the body again to another vehicle, and she went on a trip, and on driving, that's when she got rid of the body.
Yes.
On a planned vacation. Many, 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 many days later. Gannon Stauch was found, 48 days after the day he went missing?
48 days.
48 days. They found this body in March. Okay. Oh, her husband's already divorcing her before they found the body. Okay. They're gone. All right. Now, the question that came up about the DNA came up from the defense. They said, well, you would normally test everybody that was there that found it, right? Like for the DNA. He says, of course.
Right.
Yeah. For elimination purposes.
Yeah.
He says, so that's why you took Stitch's, everybody's DNA, right? Well, some of them, yes. Well, he was trying to insinuate that the only reason they have Letecia's DNA is because they were eliminating her as a witness. But
Uh-huh.
I
It
don't
didn't
know.
work.
It didn't work.
It didn't
No.
work.
What are they going to say? No. First of all, why bother when I didn't understand why they brought that up. And I made a note of it because I want to see if it comes up later. There's got to be a reason, Kim, because
There
she's
has to
already said
be.
she's guilty. So why would they try to get rid of any evidence?
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to get rid of the evidence that she cleaned up, which is everything they found in the house. And we're getting there. Let's go
and
to
the
number
thing
2.
is,
Yeah.
her DNA is going to be inside that suitcase also.
Oh, it is, but that ain't going to help her based on
No.
I don't understand. That's not going to help. I mean, it's just going to prove that we're not going for whether she did it or not. So what does it matter if her DNA was in there? Okay. Unless they're just trying to say that somebody else disposed of the body. That's why she's not crazy. She wasn't well enough in her
Yeah.
mind to do all this, but they don't have anybody else working with her. It's all her all the time.
It's
She was
all
the only
her.
one in that car. Okay. All right.
No, she wasn't.
Yeah. So here you go. This is her standing up. This is where she sits, behind this monitor here. Can you guys see that? Do I have that up big enough? I'm sorry the pictures are a little bit grainy, but these feeds are so bad coming out of the courthouse
They
here and
are.
there. There's not a lot of clear pictures. If you want to watch the
No.
feeds, like I said, Recovery Addict has done a lot with his technology and what he knows about streaming and pulling things in, doing the best he can. Some of the clearest pictures I've seen have been through
Yeah,
there, and
he's cleaned it up a lot.
yeah, they're being very, very cautious, so if you want to watch it live, I will be, getting recordings of it and all, but I'm not going to be presenting it live, just clips and things like that for information. But I will be doing updates like this one. I'll probably do another one Tuesday because we got, true crime on Monday. We're going to do Valo. Well, our next
Good.
one This was Detective Jason Yoder. He was very good, right? He's the
He
one that
was.
came out to the bridge and started the investigation for Escambia County over there, because that's where they found the body. He's the one that
Correct.
he matched the body up to the missing persons. He's the one who identified Gann. Like that whole investigation starts here with Detective Jason Yoder. He's the one that answered the defense's question about how they collected the DNA of the bridge inspectors, and why. Um, he was very good also.
Yes.
Very concerned. They're all very professional in regards to their answers and all. There's like no, it's not like some of the other trials we watch where there's all this finger pointing at,
And
are you sure about this,
unnecessary
or are you sure,
elaborations.
right, are you sure about this, or like, you misspoke about that, and there's none of that. The defense doesn't even challenge anything the witnesses are saying. Mm-mm.
No.
They don't. And they've actually said several times, I've heard the defense stand up and say, we're going to make it easy. There's no questions for this witness.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yoder also, Claire, did a statewide and a region-wide search on missing children.
He did. And
Thinking,
he's the one who
yeah,
actually matched up
he
Gannon
did
and got,
with
and
Wyatt
it happened pretty quickly because of
through the
that.
national database.
Yeah,
Correct.
he was very, very precise, and they got and they did
Yes.
have DNA, and they did have DNA
Hmm.
from Gannon's toothbrush, because remember the dad
Right.
had, and so they were able quite quickly to match this up based
Yes.
on that. It's a very good use of DNA that way. Was very happy that happened, not for the outcome that then, Al Stauch had to deal with the loss of his son, and so did everyone, and so did Landon and everyone who knew Gannon. But the search then was over, and now they could look
Right.
for justice. Like, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
we know what we're dealing with here.
And
We can move on.
Yoder also attended the autopsy the next day.
He did, and he said that was horrific. That was
Yes.
horrific. He reconfirmed that there were 18 stab wounds from a
Hmm.
sharp object.
And
There
2
were
bullet fragments found in the pillow.
in the pillow, and there were one bullet was recovered from Gannon's brain,
Correct.
and that he had blunt trauma on his body. And
Hmm.
here's another thing: some of those stab wounds were in his hands and his arms, meaning Gannon
Yeah.
fought back.
Defense.
Gannon fought for his life.
Hmm.
Someone came at him with a knife,
Yeah.
and he put his hands up to stop
They were
it.
defensive wounds.
They were defensive wounds, and
And he
that was,
already had burns on his arms.
and he had burns on his
And
arms.
they were
Now,
second-degree burns.
and those burns were mentioned in the phone calls. Letecia told
Yes.
Al Stauch that Gannon was complaining about burns and stuff. There is actually a clip of her recording, talking to Gannon about stuff, remember?
Correct.
Okay. And I believe they got that from her phone or something.
Yes.
But
And she
yes.
actually talked over him when he said, I'm not worried about the carpet. I'm worried about my arms. Like she was
Right.
trying to muffle that out.
She's telling him they're going to get kicked out of the house because he dropped a candle and caused a little mess in a fire thing on the carpet.
Correct.
But he got burnt by the hot wax. But she's not worried about that.
Right. But
Mm,
he would have had to have more prolonged exposure to either the
mm-hmm,
flame or the wax
mm-hmm.
than what she was stating probably happened, because from what I've been hearing, it definitely sounds like second-degree burns.
Yeah. Well, and that's very serious and very painful. Whatever
Very.
happened, whether she had done something, he had an accident, anything could have happened.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of speculation there. Like, how angry was she? Did she torture him? Like, we don't know. Um, but she obviously murdered him and now
Yes.
confesses herself. I could say she murdered him because she said she murdered him. Okay.
Hmm.
That's legitimate. We're all allowed to say that now. It's just a matter of how should justice be rendered for that murder? Where will she be serving her sentence, and what kind of sentence will it be? Okay. Um,
Yeah.
sh- she did it. Okay, she says she did it. Jason Yoder would helped identify to get the case where it needed to be back in El Paso County to who may be responsible since that's where he was from. Um, it was a good that they didn't have a lot of questions for him either. Okay,
No.
just
The
that
defense
DNA thing which stuck
basically
out
just
to me.
the defense basically just asked him about other bridges in the area, like the bridge on 110 going to
Hmm.
Pensacola, and
Yeah,
then there
they
was
did.
another
They said,
one.
weren't there bigger bridges? Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that you just reminded me that that's when Dave Young came back on redirect and he said,
Uh-huh.
and all of those other bridges, which one is the most quiet at 4 a.m. in the morning? And he's like, the one where we
Yes.
found it, like the name of the bridge where they found the
Uh-huh.
body. And he's like, would anybody be there? And he's like, no, there's a lot of traffic. He said, so basically, and they asked questions about the weather. Was there a lot of water? Was there this? Was there that? And I don't understand why, like what that would have to do. You're not contesting she did it. Why do you care how they found the body, where they found the body? Like, what are you trying to
Yeah.
contest there? Well, they were talking about the weather, the condition, bigger bridges in the area, other bridges she could have went. Yeah, there's probably a whole bunch of bridges she could have
Oh
went to,
yeah,
but
I've
she
been across that I-10 bridge.
it was almost like they were going to say she was so out of her mind and crazy she just dropped it anywhere, except for she dropped it at the most convenient, no traffic, dark, not going to be found bridge in the area. She didn't know there was a bridge inspection coming up.
Right.
Right.
And the Candlewood Suites, where she supposedly or allegedly stayed, is not far from the Escambia Bridge.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's
So it
like
does
just
look
at the next interchange.
and are we supposed to believe that she was out of her mind when she actually planned to put the body in the vehicle? She moved it to the vehicle she was in and got it ready for transport to be disposed of this way? They
You
were
know,
supposed to.
that's where my mind can't wrap around the insanity, because I can't see someone that's not in their right mind being able to carry through with a lot of these tasks.
Exactly. And it gets better because we're going to go. Let's go to the next witness. Okay.
Okay.
Um. Wait. Let me see if I have a picture of him up. I think I do. Okay. First of all, we'll talk about this is her standing there. She's still shackled, but you see how far they stand away from her. She's
Yeah.
she. This I think was day one. She wore the blue. So these days, like some of the
Yes, she
pictures
wore
I
the
have
blue
for her
hoodie.
are not from day two or day three, because I have to go with which ones we can get a hold of. All right, this is
Yeah.
our fourth witness total, but our third that are not from the phone call. So this is Nicolas Berklich. We're checking the spelling of this. This is how everybody's spelling this,
It's
but I think there's an E in.
Berklich.
I know, but I'm thinking there's an E in there. I don't know why.
No,
But
he
anyway,
he
he's from
spelled it.
Major Crimes. Yeah. He's from Major Crimes, El Paso County Sheriff's Office. He's in Major Crimes. He's been there for a long time. He talked about the evidence. He talked about the things that were collected. He opened up evidence envelopes for everybody.
Yes.
The evidence was pretty well listed. I believe Nicole Fierro was listing it. They were talking about um basically what they have that I know of so far that stuck out to me. They found a scrub brush, okay,
Yes.
that was used to clean with carpet fibers in it that was full of blood and DNA from one Gannon Stauch, okay.
Correct.
They found this they found a vinegar bottle, half empty, this empty vinegar bottle, okay.
Mhm.
They have a receipt and text messages of her asking her daughter to go get carpet cleaner, baking soda in some trash bags,
And
okay,
trash bags.
and trash bags, okay. They have the evidence of Lana coming home from school, not being allowed anywhere into the house. Get rid of her. Don't let her
Mhm.
in at all, okay.
Oh, and
They
they also found scrub brushes and scissors in the dishwasher.
In the dishwasher. That's what I mean. The scrub
Yes.
wash was in the dishwasher
Yeah,
and it
in the
had
dishwasher.
DNA. It still
Yes.
had DNA on it
And carpet
and
fibers
carpet
and hair.
fibers and hair. Okay. And then another thing that they found were her sneakers. They can't
Yes.
find the clothes she was wearing that day.
No.
Everybody says what she was wearing, and those clothes are missing, but she had other clothes on when she called in 911 and they came to
Yes.
the house. She had a different outfit on. But she did try to wash the sneakers. They were wet from coming out of the washer,
They
but
were.
they still
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 had.
tested positive for blood and DNA
Yes.
of one Gannon Stauch. Okay. Um, we know from the opening statements and also from the affidavit in the statement of proof for the indictment that they said that scene had to be so bloody. There was blood in the mattress, there's blood all over the carpet, there's blood everywhere that was tried to be cleaned up that they found. They found
It soaked
splatter
down to the concrete under the
right
carpet.
all the way through that it was that bloody a scene from that bed. Okay. And that the wall was splattered. Okay.
Hmm.
You see the black and white picture. They're not color, they're black and white pictures from the affidavit that you see this, but they marked all those splatter marks
Yeah.
so that you could see. Those were presented to the jury already. Okay. When Macon Pounder took the stand, and also when Jason Yoder took the stand, they did show the body. They did show how
Yes.
they found him. They showed those pictures, okay? And it was very traumatic for the people that were in the galley.
Hmm.
There are relatives there that were gasping. I'm hoping Al Stauch was not there again. I'm hoping that Landon wasn't in the room for that. That had to be horrible. They spoke of the smell and all
Yeah.
of that kind of stuff. All right, but when we get down to the physical evidence, okay, it was quite obvious that there was stuff left behind, as well as she did clean up for that whole day. Okay, I think that's pretty much most of
Yeah.
the
He was pretty
witnesses.
quick.
Hmm. He was pretty quick, but he got to actually open up the bags and say this is the DNA
Yes.
from the bridge guy, this is the DNA from this. Um there was the empty vinegar bottle was found in a trash can. Okay. And there was more evidence. They found strands of carpet everywhere, um scrub brushes and scissors, carpet fibers. Oh, the comb. Remember the comb? They found
Oh,
a comb.
that's right. They did
Yeah.
find the comb. And that was also when they had his toothbrush in the holder.
And they did. They had the toothbrush in the holder
Hmm.
that was brought to them for the DNA of
Yeah,
Gannon,
because
and
that was the
that is
first thing that he
right.
opened.
So this detective was proving how they proved that the DNA belonged to Gannon that was found. The blood in the DNA that they're matching to the scrub brushes, the carpet fibers, everything that they're finding, the sneakers,
Right.
because of Gannon's own toothbrush. Okay, that was identified by both relatives, that it was
Hmm.
his. So he opened up, those things and just identified them, got them all entered into evidence. They have to have a process to bring this all in. Even though we've seen the indictment and the statement of why they think things, they have to enter every single piece that they said in there into
They
evidence in
do.
a certain way, and they do it via a witness every time somehow.
Hmm.
Like we've seen this before. They
Right.
enter it in and they validate it. This witness did both. It got entered in and validated at the same time, so we don't have to see another witness like we did in Murdaugh, where they entered
Right.
it and then somebody else had to come validate everything. Like,
I know.
yeah, that took forever. Well, not so much in this
Yeah.
trial. It's pretty straightforward because remember, we're not trying to prove that she murdered anybody. She says she did.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, yep. All right. So here we go. The after the next one, right, Kim? Oh my. You remember
Yeah.
is there anything else that came to light with Nicholas that you wanted to mention?
Um, no, there
Okay.
really wasn't. His was just so straightforward.
Mhm. And I don't think that besides questioning like where certain DNA samples came from, there was not much on the defense's
There
questioning.
wasn't.
And also with this witness, with Nicholas Burkhardt, we met another member of the prosecution team, and her name is Angelina Gratiano, uh, uh,
Yes.
a woman DA. assistant DA that is with on this case also. I try to get all the names out there because I think everybody involved needs credit. Okay. And Tolini, Josh Tolini, who is the defense attorney, the head defense attorney, actually did the cross
Yeah,
with him,
he
I
did the
believe.
cross.
He did the cross, and there really wasn't anything, and there were no jury questions either. It
No
was
jury
very
questions.
okay. It was very brief. I don't even think they did much except for ask where these DNA swabs came from. That's about
Right.
it. Okay, so let's go on to the next one, which is our that was Letecia, third day. Does she look
Yes.
happy, Kim? Just a happy camper. Yeah.
Just very
Yeah.
happy.
I wonder who
Elated to
she's
be
thinking of.
there. I
You think she's
know.
thinking of Eduardo, Uncle Matt, or Quincy Jones? Because
Or
those
Quincy.
whole stories,
Quincy
or Quincy.
Brown.
Yeah. Because
Quincy Brown.
and I don't want to make light, but one of the funniest things to show that how calculating and manipulative she is, Al Stauch asks her, who are you talking about, this Quincy Jones? How does he have your phone number? What do you mean he's harassing you? What do
Yeah.
you mean he wants money from you? And he goes, who are you talking about? She pulls a mugshot from Google and sends it to him.
Yes.
This guy who is a Quincy Jones. Okay. And it's
That
just
was,
like,
he was on
okay.
like Colorado's top 10 most wanted list for SA offenders.
Right. But she says that she was attacked. She never let them examine her. She never put in a report. She never even reported to the police that that's what happened.
Also,
Until
remember, Claire, he was nice enough to let her go long enough to go get Lena in the house.
right.
And then she went back down there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Make
And
that make sense.
she's telling Al Stauch that she has Haley and Lena locked in a bedroom and they can't get out. And
Yes.
she's locked in the storage room and Gannon's screaming. And yet, then another story, they were at the store.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Uncle Matt busted into the van
Uncle
or the
Matt.
vehicle. Uncle Matt jumped in and attacked Gannon, and
In the
Gannon was
van.
screaming. Yes, in the back. And that she had to drive or he was going to kill Gannon.
Yes.
Yeah. Crazy. When I saw crazy, you got to listen to the phone calls. The stories are
And-
crazy. And I think that the defense
apparently worked for the housing development and drove a red truck.
And drove a red truck. And he came
Yeah.
there too. Yeah.
And the way she was trying to weave all these stories together.
Now she's trying to connect them all together like they all happened. And it was just one big crazy day to make them make sense. And you have to listen to those phone calls. But unfortunately, here's the thing. They're going to be the biggest weapon the defense has to prove that she was crazy. Because let's admit, those were some crazy stories.
They were crazy.
But that's only her trying to convince her husband.
Exactly.
She's not acting those out. She's not telling everybody else.
No.
That's her trying to get her husband to feel bad, like sorry for her and come back and like trying to give him the answers because all he keeps saying is, tell me what happened to Gannon.
And did you pick up every once in a while, he would ask her a specific thing. Now, tell me again about this. And she's like, oh, let me go check my notes.
When she said that, I hope when the defense tries to use those conversations for insanity, that I hope that comes up really big on the screen for the prosecution. And let me go check my notes.
Yes. It's like our chat here. They hear me rustling my papers, and you can hear her thumbing through all of her papers.
Exactly, but she did say it. We're not kidding, people. She actually said that in the phone call to him. Let me go check my notes.
And I was like, Letecia, get with me. I can teach you how to cross-reference.
No, do not, Kim, don't go to the dark side. Stay over here with us trying to look at what happened. Don't be helping them hiding. Like, come on. Like, no, stay on the right side. Like,
I'm thinking to myself, if she only knew how to properly record things.
I know, but it's just, I'm kind of, I don't want her to get away with it. I want the truth.
No, I don't either.
She's obviously,
I don't.
She's a disturbed person. My perfect scenario is life in prison, if not the death sentence. I don't think she can get the death sentence here in Colorado.
No, there's no death sentence.
Life in prison. She should never be allowed out to enjoy herself. Life in prison and get the woman the therapy she obviously needs. So she demented.
Get her some help.
Yeah, she's selfish. How you could do that to a child, I don't know. But the next
Yeah.
young man is Deputy Patrick Younkin, who was the first one to go on the scene. He responded to the 911 call for a missing child. He
Right.
went to the home to do and asked to come in because, as he said, and he admits, because he wore body cam footage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, there were 2 other deputies there,
Yeah, but he was
but
there. Hmm.
he was the only one there with a body cam.
Which is why he's on the stand, because they can't
Correct.
contest anything that she said because it's right there
Correct.
verbally. And they're trying to avoid he said, she said, and they're also doing a good job of avoiding her being able to twist her words like she was out of her crazy, because what we heard on the body cam was a sensible, logical person answering questions, nothing. He was even asked directly, "Did you feel there was anything wrong with her, like that she was?"
Yeah.
And he said,
And he
"No,
said no.
rational, clear, whatever." Um, but that was on January 27th. They responded to that call around 10 o'clock at night. After
Yes.
she had plenty of time to clean up. Okay.
Mhm.
But they also responded to that call, and this is when they got all of the evidence that they got.
Yeah.
Because as well as it was cleaned up, it did not look like anything violent happened. It did not look like anything bad happened. It didn't, there were no gunshot casings anywhere. There are not bullet holes in anything. It was all well cleaned up. Okay. Very well cleaned up, right? He did
Correct.
not see anything like that, but he did see some odd things. He did
He
see
did.
some odd things. Yeah. So you want to tell them that kind of stuff? I'll let you go with that
Um,
one because he was fun.
he was. And, one of the things that really stood out to me was he specifically asked her about her vehicle and
Mm-hmm.
if that was the vehicle that she had driven. And she was like, yeah. Oh, you mean that one? No. Well, then that kind of dissuaded him from searching the vehicle, which he
Right.
probably should have anyway,
Mm-hmm.
because that was probably where
Right.
Gannon was.
Exactly. She really, really, because she said, "What are you driving that day?" And it was the other vehicle that she said about. And but they did
Right.
end up impounding like everybody's vehicles, even
Everyone's vehicle.
Haley's, right? Even Haley's, yeah,
They
in
did.
ours,
They
everybody.
they
Yeah.
pounded hers also. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember what all he came across. You're gonna have to help me on this one, Claire.
Well, with this one, he came in, and the reason that he got to search the house because they said, you're saying that he ran away or he's missing, but at that
Right.
age, it's
And
our
he's like, they
experience
hide.
that children sometimes hide in the house. So can
Hmm.
we search the house? And she actually said, okay, that makes sense. And yeah,
Yeah,
they went from room to room. That's how they know where the storage room was, how they know the whole layout.
they did.
And they knew everything.
Hmm.
They had good reason
Yeah.
at that point to suspect her. There's not a
He
lot
did
of
notice some
yeah.
cleanup products and
He made
things
notes
like
of
that,
plenty of cleanup stuff. He made they made many notes in regards to how they saw the sneakers on top of they saw
and
lots.
that they were
Okay.
wet.
And they knew what to come back and get, right?
Yes,
Mm.
they did.
Yes.
They knew
Hmm.
exactly what to come back for.
It didn't take long after that. After that happened, and he made all of those notes, and they're all comparing notes. And then Al Stauch, like what the next day, like within the next day, going to the police station and saying, you know what, she lied about the vehicle.
Exactly.
Then they start recording calls. Then they go back with the search warrant. They're going to go in and they're going to get the sneakers. They're going to get they get everything. They get everything they need. And
Everything.
also the story that she told about why he noticed the carpet was cut up. And he's like, well,
He
what happened
did.
here? And she tries to
Yeah.
tell him the elaborate story about the wax and the
The
cutting
wax.
and I
Uh-huh.
tried to clean it up and it didn't. So I'm going to like put a patch there or something. I cut it out.
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna go
What?
buy a rug and cover it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it was just like,
Uh-huh.
there was plenty of there that they were making notes on,
Yeah.
all of
He
them.
did also notice that the mattress was moved off of like either the box spring or the bed frame. It
It
was
was up
like
against the wall.
skewed.
It was up against the wall.
Yeah.
Off of the bed and up. No, it wasn't it. It was up against the wall, I believe, when he came in there. She
It
actually
wasn't
had
it wasn't like
mhm,
in a normal position.
right. So she, because there was a lot to clean on that too. You had to get all
Mhm.
the blood. But here is where the jury actually came forward
Oh,
here
yeah,
and
they
asked
did.
some. Yeah, the jury came up with some pretty good questions
They
for
asked
them on
very
this
good
one.
questions about.
Yeah, on this one. Let me
Mhm.
just. Oh gosh, let me get them. So we know that the first jury question was about Letitia's actions. I don't recall any other jury
Um,
questions yet, right?
yeah,
Okay. I
right.
don't think they asked anybody else anything. I remember him
No,
saying there was nothing. Okay.
no, they didn't ask
So
any others.
the first thing they wanted to know was who was the first person to describe missing juvenile as a runaway? Who used the word runaway? Was it them or was it anybody else? And Detective Younkin said that came from Letecia Stauch. She
Yes,
she said it first. And I thought that was a very good question. That
that was
is
a
an astute
very
question
thoughtful
from a
question.
jury. That's very
Yes,
thought provoking. Wait a
yes.
minute. He's missing? Who said runaway? Who's trying to lead us that way? Who said that?
Uh-huh,
Do they think that or is she saying that? Nope, she said that.
exactly. She
This
said it.
jury's this jury's on it, people.
Oh,
This
they
jury.
are on it.
All right. All right. And he said it was Letecia Stauch. Okay. Second
Uh-huh.
question, after a little bit conferring with the lawyers and the judge, when searching the home, particularly the bedroom, did he notice any unusual scents or smells when searching around or under the bed? And he said, no, he really did not. So he didn't really
Yeah.
smell like anything
No.
offensive or
He
anything like
said
that.
he
Okay.
basically just looked under the bed to see if he was hiding under there.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And then they asked this question, which was really, oof, I was so proud of them.
I
Okay.
know.
Okay. Did he see any large suitcases? Now, if you recall from the prosecution, you see a picture of Gannon in bed with a bunch of
Yes.
blankets and a pillow. Does that big item at the bottom underneath the blanket look like a suitcase?
Yeah, kinda.
Kind of, right? That's what
Yeah,
some people are saying. But
yeah.
anyway, he's saying he didn't see. The answer from from Deputy Yokin was, he did not recall on visual inspection any suitcase in any of the rooms. However, after reviewing my body cam footage, I did. So in other words,
Uh-huh.
it picked it up on the body cam footage, but he didn't recall actually looking at it or making a mental
Right.
note that he saw it, but it was there. The suitcase that Gannon, here it is. Here it is. The suitcase
Yeah,
that Gannon was found in was on the property at the time that after he was missing, which
yeah.
means someone knew where he was and put him in there. Someone
Uh-huh.
who already reported him missing, but she's already admitted to that. She hasn't admitted to doing what she did, just that she murdered him, but she hasn't gave an allocution yet that says
No,
exactly what she did, which I
no.
hope is part of any kind of settlement that they come up with, which she
I
really
do
should.
too.
Yep.
I
Now of note, one of them, it was either the prosecution or the defense. I do believe that it was Will Cook, because Will Cook is the one who did the cross, right? Of
right.
this at the end, okay? And that
Yes.
is for the defense. Will Cook is the other partner of Josh Tolini, who's
Yes.
assisting on this case. And I believe it might have been Will Cook. And you said you thought so too, right? Who asked, "Did you smell bleach?"
Yes, it was Cook.
Mhm. I said, "Did you notice any bleach or cleaning smell?" And the detective had said no. They're trying to say that, like, she wasn't of a good mind to clean up. She didn't do it. It must have been
Right.
somebody else, because they know if she did clean up, that's going to prove that she
Mhm.
was more of sound mind than not.
Well, and I think Cook is trying to get to the fact that if she had cleaned, you should have smelled bleach, or it should have had a fresh, clean smell.
Well, bleach was not on the list. What was on the list?
Bleach, it was
Carpet cleaner,
vinegar and baking soda.
vinegar, baking soda, and carpet cleaner, which you know that those smells go away. Baking soda eliminates odors.
Once they're dried, yeah,
hmm
and baking soda and bleach together
hmm
are some of the best things to remove blood, especially out of fibers.
Really? That's
Yes.
news. You've been watching those serial killer things, huh?
No, I worked in hospital ERs,
Oh,
and
okay.
we'd
Well,
have
there's
to
a
get
lot
the
of that
blood
there
off our
too.
shoes. Yeah, that was before we were
Plenty a
putting
lot of that
booties
there.
and stuff on all the
Yeah.
time.
hmm Yeah. All right. So I guess we got a couple of minutes for questions before we wrap up. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Hey, Beck, and I'm sorry for everybody. I've been talking away up here with Kim. We totally don't mean to ignore you all. But
No.
hi, Sean. It's nice to see you. Ox, I saw you call me, and you always make me happy. Telling me he's got his Claire fix going on now, but I saw Jen earlier. Shill, it's nice to have you back. Mrs. Cassandra, even though you tried to out me with the
Right?
name there, it's good to see you. It is. Anyway. Mipit, of course, I said hi. Okay. Just Rhonda came in earlier. I'll see. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just trying to see who I missed. I missed Beck coming in. Renee and me. It's nice to see you too.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. I'm looking as I'm going through the names. I'm also looking for questions, which I'm not
I know.
seeing
I've been
too
kind of trying to
many.
see
Janae.
them as we've been
hmm
going.
Yeah, Janae, it's good to see you too. I'm glad you've been enjoying some of these. It's nice to have another voice here asking questions and
Yes.
stuff. And thank you for Googling. I really appreciate it. Yeah. I'm just looking. Okay. Mm, here's a good one. Saw an interview today where a gallery member, and that would be somebody like in the pews in the back just watching, was
Right.
saying the opinion is that Letecia is faking a DID switch when she pulls those body positions.
That
Is
kind of
that the
makes
Taylor
sense.
thing? Yes,
Yeah, that would kind of
it
make sense.
reneges me. Knowing what Gannon went through, I've been having a tough time watching the court. And you know what? I feel you. I'm having a really hard time with it. And that's why we're just doing like recaps of pertinent information and stuff and try to let you guys know. I can imagine it's going to be difficult for a lot of people to watch and hear. It's a lot. I feel you. Hello, Sandra. It's good to see you too. Thank you for joining us tonight. Let's see. Question. Let- I think we are all just baffled. Yes. I have to agree with that, Mrs. C. I cannot,
Yeah.
I just cannot imagine getting there for whatever happened. Okay. And I just
It's just,
want him to have justice. He's too young.
yeah.
Absolutely. Just horrible.
It's
Horrible.
one of those things
Mm.
that I can't, my mind just will not allow itself to wrap around
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what
It
all
is.
she's trying to say.
Exactly. Exactly. Hey, Paula, it's good to see you. And Sean, it's always good to see you, you guys. Well, I don't know. It That's it for the evidence that was presented. Of course, we had today off. Um,
Yes.
they're saying that the judge was being very considerate to a jury member who had a 1 day a week thing. It's also someone said that there was another uh judge who needed the courtroom on a certain day and that there was overflow and that allowances were made. So who knows what the actual reason is, but we'll see
Yeah.
next week if it's the same.
Well,
But for
and El
now,
Paso,
it
yeah, El Paso County goes basically from like the city of Pueblo, that's in another county, almost
mhm,
all the way up to Denver. So it's a
right.
rather large county. And when you
Mhm,
think about it, you think of like Colorado Springs, Manitou Springs, what they just call the Springs.
mhm, right.
We lived in Pueblo for a while, so
Mhm,
I'm familiar with
right.
that area. But then it
Well,
also extends the other way also. So it covers a lot of area, and
mhm,
there's a good chance that, you know, Judge Werner may be needed on Thursdays at another courthouse in
true. True.
El
Or
Paso
or
County.
or even just for scheduling another judge from somewhere needed a room, just for a one-day
Correct.
thing. Yeah. So anything it could be. But anyway, he was very polite in how he let everybody know. And we're definitely
Yes.
going to have trial tomorrow starting at 9 a.m., which is Mountain Time in Colorado. I'm on Eastern Time, so they are 2 hours. I'm 2 hours earlier than they are. So like that's
Yes.
11 o'clock for me. They're 2 hours. What would you say? Post me? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
2 hours
because it's 10
after.
o'clock for me.
Mm-hmm. And they'll be starting with additional witnesses at that time. Prosecution is up, and it'll be the same
Hmm.
old, same old. Um, for myself, if I want to watch the visual, I've been watching Recovery Addict and periodically Law and Crime. There are plenty of small creators out there covering it.
There
um
are.
you know I would say at this point, support your smaller creators that are
Yes.
just trying to get known. Like, go watch one of them if you're going to be watching it anyway. Give them the view. But for myself and for Kim and for everybody, the murder minions in general that follow my true crime and updates from the Discord and everywhere else, we're just going to be reporting on it several times a week. If anything big happens, of course we'll do something, but I am planning on doing them later in the night. um
Yeah,
so that, in all honesty, I don't want to give Letecia Stauch that kind of power over my normal schedule. Does
I
that make
know.
sense?
It
I'm just
does.
that's how I'm choosing to deal with it. We
Yes,
all have to find a way to deal
we
with it to
do.
not have her affect us so much. I want justice for Gannon, and I
I
want
do
this to
too.
be accurate information about what's going on and what's happening. I want it out there. I think it's important for Al Stauch, for Landon Hyatt, for Gannon, for all the investigators,
For
for
Elena.
everybody, for Lena, his sister, for
Yeah,
everybody. I want it out there. And just, and give you guys a place to ask the questions. So
yeah.
I will look up anything you ask. I will. If you have questions on it, hit the back of the videos. Any of
Hmm.
them. I get notifications. Anything about Stauch, hit any of the Stauch videos. Hit the
Yeah,
opening, hit the close, hit any of it. I'll get the question and we'll take care of it, and try to bring it to you the next time we're up, or even on my community tab. I've done that also.
right.
Um, Answered stuff directly. Um, Especially names and stuff. I do like to give you the names of all of the witnesses and who is involved in the teams, because they do, for the work that they do, they deserve the credit. And that's
Hmm.
why I'm give Kim a lot of credit today. She's up here as the research department. When it comes to this kind of stuff, like we were in DMs back and forth while we're watching, going, "Did you catch that name? Did you catch this? I didn't. I took a nap. What were you doing?" She's like, "Damn, like,
I'm like,
whatever."
I'm
Yeah.
working and I'm taking notes
No,
and I've
and
got
yeah, she's
the
like,
trial
"Claire,
going.
what did you do?" I said, "I didn't sleep last night. I took a 2-hour nap. Sorry, boo. Like, I'll go rewind."
I'm
It's
like,
like with the
did you get that name? She's like,
nope.
no. I'm like,
you know, but
okay,
I
let me
but the
go
thing is,
look.
you can always
Four
rewind and go
hours
back.
later,
Yeah,
I
we could
get
always
a
rewind.
name.
Yeah, we could go back. I mean, there was a lot of research, and the fact that they opened up, you know, um, the fact that they opened up all of the documentation really helped, because we actually can
It
go
did.
and find.
Yes.
They don't have it just posted as a witness list, but every time they want to add someone to it, the
Uh-huh.
original witness list is in the affidavit, if you guys want to know. That's how we
Right.
could figure out how to spell Patrick Younkin's name.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it was in the
Because
original witness statement.
I heard
Yeah.
it like five different ways. I heard
Hmm.
young, younger, Younkin, and then you finally
And
were
the
like, oh,
judge,
it's
like, we did.
Yokin.
It's not like in the murder trial where the county clerks all rotated through and did a specific procedure every time and had them spell
No.
everything. The judge seats the witnesses himself.
Yes.
And
He
so
swears them
sometimes he
in.
asks them how to spell what their last name is, and
Actually, it's
sometimes he
usually,
doesn't.
yeah, actually, it's usually been up to the attorneys to
They've
ask
been
them to
saying,
repeat their name and
hmm
spell it.
and they say, "Where are you from and what do you do?" And that's
Hmm.
helpful because then we can match it up, and I
And
like
that
it.
was the problem with the female attorney
Her
because
voice is very low. Yeah.
it is, but she also never introduced herself.
No.
And I only caught her name because the judge, I heard him say it one time, and I
Right.
was
And
like, okay,
she's not even listed yet on
no.
the
And
board. Like we
I'm
can't.
like, I've got three potential different spellings on this.
Mm. Well, anyway, we're going with the one which we chose, which maybe we're going to say right now could be correct, could be not correct, but we're going with Angelina Graziano. That's what we're going with
I
because
think
that,
that's her.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that that's her from what we saw. But
She does
I
work
feel
for the
free.
DA's office.
I do hope that somebody that has the proper one will take the time to correct us if it's
Yeah.
wrong, because I don't
Yeah.
want wrong information out there. But we do believe it's Assistant District Attorney
Hmm.
Graziano.
Yeah,
Okay.
because when I
Well,
found her finally online, I double checked and made sure
mhm.
that she is with the DA's office.
Yeah. I yeah, they are definitely having court tomorrow, Mrs. Cassandra, even though it is Good
Yes.
Friday. I'm not sure about Monday. Most federal buildings and state buildings are closed on Easter Monday in the
Right.
United States. But courts are allowed to do whatever they want, so we
They
will
are.
see.
And we'll
We'll
find out
see. We'll
tomorrow
see.
afternoon. He'll
We'll
make that
find out. He'll
announcement.
tell us tomorrow. But either
Mhm.
way, we shall have a stream on Valo on Monday.
Yes.
Okay, because that jury
Yes.
selection stuff's been going on, just to, and also because I want everybody really up to date on the timeline before they sit with the evidence, before they
Right.
start with all of that. I want you to understand what's going on, why Daybell still is facing the death penalty and Lori's
Mhm.
not. Like, what? And like
I
Daybell
know.
could possibly have cameras, we don't know yet, and Lori not. Like,
Not.
y- y- but
And most of the sketches coming out during jury selection
mhm.
are not doing her any justice.
She don't, you know what? For the first time, she's not like grinning, happy, playing supermodel to the
No.
cameras. Her last
There's no
mugshot,
cameras.
I right, I showed her last mugshot. She don't look happy. She knows like this is bad.
No.
This is bad. It's
Oh,
finally
yeah.
coming up. Yeah,
I think
this
it's
is bad
finally
for her.
hitting her.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um,
I, I know, but
I
on
was gonna let
Stauch, yeah,
yeah,
go
I was
ahead.
gonna let everyone know also, as much as I can during the day, during the trial, if you are in Claire's Discord, we have a Stauch room, and I'm trying to drop updates that
Hmm.
I feel are important or kind of worthy. I'm trying to drop things in there. So if you're in the Discord, maybe look for those every once in a while
Right. But just
during
know
the trial.
we're not gonna drop all of the information because
No,
otherwise why do an update?
exactly.
Seriously.
I
Yeah.
know.
Because like we got to pull it all together. So,
We
um,
do.
yeah, yeah. But also, it's a good place if you guys come up with anything that you learn or a link. Just, I love hearing all of the information that you gather. I just ask that when you do give it forward, you try to tell us like where it's coming from, a link to a video, a
Yes.
link to an article, a source of something, because I do go back. Not that I don't believe
So that,
everything that everybody
yeah,
tells me,
but
because I'll
we
believe
we
you if
do
you're
want to
telling
verify
me
it.
that you want me to know. But if I'm going to put it out here on YouTube or link it to a video, I definitely want to check the source just to make sure. So if somebody asks me, I know where it came
Mhm.
from,
And it just
and I
makes it
can bring it
easier
back.
on us to find it also.
Yeah, it really does. And just to go back and forth. But that's how I think
Yeah.
everybody like runs that way. And everybody, and I'm not saying people don't, because most people that give me anything, that's exactly what they do. I'm just putting it
Right.
out on YouTube that, just in case anybody new wants to.
I know.
The last
I've
thing I
shown
want to
you
do
some
is put
things
up
and
a
you're like, "Can
picture
you
of.
get me a link?" I'm like, "Oops, sorry.
Mhm.
I forgot about a link.
No,
Sorry."
or I do. I'm just it's just a habit. It's a habit of mine. I'm not trying to be a pain in the butt about it. I'm just like
No, and you're
it's
not at
just so
all.
much easier.
Lots of times
Yeah.
I'm so excited about
Okay.
something and getting it to you.
Mhm. The last thing I want to put up, I want to leave only with the picture of Gannon. That's how I like to start these things and end these things, to remember that a trial of murder, we're not contesting whether she did it or not. She admitted she did it. So we need justice for Gannon. Gannon is not here anymore because of Letecia Stauch. And the only thing that this trial is going to be about is how shall we be rectifying that? At what what recourse, what justice will be done, how it will be done, where will her sentence be, what will her sentence be.
Right.
Okay. So if you're
Mrs.
feeling a little
Cassandra
biased
did have a
about this,
question
it's
for you.
okay. Yeah.
Yes.
What
Yeah,
does the
Mrs.
question
Cassandra did have
say?
a question for you.
Oh, the one, how do we get into the Discord? All right. Thank you, Mrs.
Yes.
Cassandra. My mods earning their blue here. That wrench, earning that wrench, keeping me on track. Manager would be so proud of you. We're right at the 11:30. I've got 1 minute to do this, and I'm going to do it real quick. Bear can talk really fast. You got to like, share, and comment the videos. That's the YouTube thing I want you to do. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. You'll get notifications. I'm going to be winking it at you. I'm not going to be telling you all the time what I'm doing. It's just going to happen. And if you don't have notifications on, you're not going to know. You might miss something cool, like my very next episode of Culture Conversations, which is due out in the next couple of days. Surprise.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. On that, to join the Discord, though, you do need to be a member of the channel, and that means joining the channel for a very small fee, and or the Patreon, the same fee, where you do get access to the Discord, which opens up a lot of the rooms and research, invitation, games, movie nights, fun conversations, Mrs. Cassandra's basement, you know, all kinds of things like that. We do have some great conversations about the cases. We do talk about other things that we don't actually cover on YouTube. We talk about a lot of the cases. They just don't all hit YouTube.
Right.
There's not enough time in the day to do that much YouTube.
No.
But we do, if you're interested, also, currently we are fundraising. Those monies from the memberships and the super chats and advertisement are all going towards a bigger computer to do bigger presentations. Once that is purchased, we'll go right back to donating every dime. Prior to that, in 2022, when I became monetized, all that money got donated, all of it. We didn't keep it. It got donated one way or another to small creators and or larger organizations, and it was all documented. And now it's being since January 1st, anything coming forward will go towards the computer. Once that's purchased, we'll go back to donating. But I'm still donating a little bit here and there, just so you know, because I can't stop.
Right.
You're just not voting on it. I'm just donating. Okay, and I'll do a summation for you coming up soon. But I am all right. But that's how you join the Discord. I hope you'll all join back. If you're a member of the channel and or a Patreon and or a creative collaborator, if you're on any of my panels or I've streamed with you one-on-one for library chats, culture con, for true crime updates, for what the effery, for mayhem, for AITA, or any of the numerous conversations that we've had prior to that, you're probably in the Discord because it is a creative collaborator Discord, all in all, and the members. And also for all my mods. If you are one of the hard-working blue wrenches over here, and believe me, I work them hard. They are like my support
She
team.
does.
It does look like it's all fun and games here, but really can be quite the hard butt about certain things. It's not easy to have a chat where anybody can say whatever they want and keep it cool for everyone. And they do a great job. They do a really great job. And I'm very
Thank you,
happy.
Claire.
I'm very happy with
On behalf
everything
of your
we're doing.
mods, I thank you.
Well, I love my mods. I thank my mods every night. So every show, because without them, I can't be up here not worrying about stuff because they're taking care of business down there. Thank you, Mippet. You have a beautiful soul too. That's very nice. And hey, Jujubee, I didn't see you sneak in. This case, Jujubee. Oh my God. So much. You should come talk to us. Like, we need to talk.
Right?
I'm telling you. But if you don't have anything else, Kim, I don't see anything else to
I
answer
don't.
in the
No.
like I said, if you come up with questions you want answers on later, or you hear something while you're watching it tomorrow, go hit the back of the video. Let me know. I will
Yeah,
address it
let
for
us
you.
know.
Yeah, we will. Because it's all about this common thing that we have, that we all like to know what's going on. We want to talk about it. The reason I do these live and not videos is so you all can interact about it. You can talk about the evidence. You could talk about things you saw. You can talk about this stuff, And it is rough, Jujubee. I clipped both of the opening statements in separate videos for you to make it easier to digest.
Yeah.
It's in I did start a playlist called the Stauch Trial, and it's on the channel, and everything that we do in regards to it will be put up there. But I'm not going to put all of the old videos on it with the the stuff, because it's going to make it too messy. I'm just going to put from now on the trial updates and things going forward.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that'll make it easier. Oh, I'm glad, Juju. Thank you. That's my first compliment on the little work I did on that. Thank you, because I appreciate that, because it was a horrible feed with lousy audio.
It
And
was.
I do have to make one shout out. I always shout out Mocking Media for the awesomeness they do for my intros and counter talk, the help that Verillion gives me with things. You, Kim, all of my mods, everybody who assists. But the reason we were able to get that audio so you can actually hear the words, you can hear the words they're saying. Have you
You
noticed, Kim?
can.
Like that
Yes.
okay, everybody, just do me a favor. You need to thank MC Wrecker for teaching an old bear how to do audio, how to actually use audio enhancing programs.
Right.
That was all MC Wrecker taking patience. Believe me, it's not easy to teach me a damn thing. Okay. But Draga Wrecker took the time a couple of times a week. We played with different things. He showed me, and that has been the biggest improvement I've been able to make in video skill. So the reason you have opening statements, you think MC Wrecker, because
Yeah.
if he had not taken the time to do that, I would not be able to. I just had no idea. There's so many. Oh, he shows up. Yes, I did. I'm just shouting you out just a little bit about
Yes.
teaching me the audio skills that you did in regards to using the different software and filters and enhancements, and what you can do with audio is amazing. I'm nowhere near as good as he is, but I was able to do something all on my own, and that was great.
Yeah,
So
we
thank
all
you
thank
for
you
that.
for that, Wrecker.
We thank you for that. Thank you very, very much for that. So on that, I think, Kim, what do you say? We wrap it up?
I think
We,
so, Claire.
I think we say goodnight, Gannon. We'll see more tomorrow, and we hope for
Yes.
everybody remember it's blue hearts for Gannon, his favorite color. That's
Yes.
all over Twitter and everywhere. If you do the justice for Gannon, always add your little blue hearts there. The
He
family
also
loves to
liked
hear it.
hedgehogs.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
I
he
don't
was
know
a
if
big
they.
Sonic Hedgehog fan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that breaks my heart. The last thing he told his dad, I'm going
I
off to play
know.
some Pokemon.
Uh-huh.
It's such what was 11? 11, because all the
11.
additional charges are for what
Yeah.
she did to someone under the age of 12, which
Uh-huh.
is a whole separate category
Under the
of
age
the
of
same
13.
offense. Like, so under 13, right? So
Hmm.
you murder somebody, but if they're under the age of this, you get another charge. And she did
Right.
deadly force with all of those weapons, all the different
Uh-huh.
weapons, the sharp weapon, the gun, and the blunt object, all separate charges, and then another charge on top of that because it was someone under the age of 13.
Correct. Correct.
Aw, thanks,
Yeah.
Wrecker.
And that's
So
what
I'm
I've
not
been. Go
so I'm
ahead.
not that hard to teach, Wrecker. That's good. Like, put that out there. Maybe more
Right?
people will come try to teach me things. Like, if I'm easy to get along with in the
Yeah.
tutorial department. I'm a good
Yeah.
student, right? I'm a good student.
Yeah. Record, just go write it down on the basement walls. It's fine.
Oh, no, I don't know. All right. On that, thanks, Kim. This was fun.
Thank
Maybe you
you,
join me
Claire.
again. This was fun. I
Yes,
appreciate
I would
everything
love
that you guys
to.
are doing. I appreciate all of you sending in what you do. I do. I know, and you don't get paid. We don't. I don't know. Are we allowed to pay mods? I don't know. You know how
No.
we pay you, Mrs. Cassandra? All those movies and games in the basement. That's how you get paid. You got a basement. There you go. People dropping stuff in there all the time. Like the best.
And I'm getting a research team. I'm so excited.
I know, excited. Yes, anybody who would actually like to actually formally come on and help with any of the cases, you're more than welcome. It's a share and share alike thing. Like, no one could do this all alone. Anybody that pretends they're out here doing it all by themselves is no, they're not. I'm just more
It
open
takes a
about it.
village.
It
It
takes a
takes a
village to do
village.
anything. It takes a village to do anything these days.
Takes a village
But
to support the bear.
Except for push the button. It only takes a bear to push the button, and I'm pushing it, Kim. We're out of here for the night.
All right.
Everybody, have a good night. We will see you over the weekend. We've got panels going on. We have an AIT coming up. Yes, we do. I will be posting it tomorrow. And like I said, CultureCon also. We're taking a break from What the Fuckery, I believe, this week. We're going to do an AIT instead. And after that, we've got the regular stuff going on for the week. So,
Yep.
You got anything you want to push, Kim, before I hit the button?
No, ma'am. That's it.
That's it. Okay. Everybody have a great one in however you celebrate the holidays. If you do, I hope you do good. And if you don't, hey, I'm with you. Let's just enjoy a couple of extra days off, just chilling and whatever. I'll see you all around. Okay. Bye.
Bye.